starting with Berkshire Hathaway, which is a diversified investment holding company controlled by Warren Buffett.
Indeed.
And obviously some of its investments are focused on insurance.
Yeah, why this one? Well, it's because Geico, which is Buffett's probably most important subsidiary, because it's where all the float, the cash came from. He's got lots of other things going on. Geico, if you're in the US, as I was recently, is everywhere. It's the market leader, I think. There are lots of other insurers around the world, but it's kind of a fun one to talk about as well.
Market cap here, $398.2 billion. PE ratio of 17.2, doesn't pay a dividend yield. He believes, of course, that he can get that return, a better return than giving money back to shareholders. Right, so Berkshire Hathaway, we have spoken about it extensively on Hot Stocks in different themes. When it comes to insurance and Geico, as Paul has alluded to.
Yes, so this is the insurance company in the world, one of the big 5 biggest companies in the world. Obviously, it created one of the largest fortunes the world has ever seen through Warren Buffett's personal net worth. And he's got this hybrid very well, where you get the premiums in while you wait for the claims to be paid out. You invest the cash very well. And traditionally, short-term insurers used to only invest that cash into cash-like instruments. No capital risk, no fluctuation, boring bonds. And Warren Buffett changed that by saying, let's invest in operating businesses. And he's built a collection of businesses that throw off a lot of cash, grow over the long time, are great qualities that he bought at fair prices. And that means today that Berkshire Hathaway is what it is, one of the largest companies in the world.
Impressive performance. I mean, Geico, remember, Americans are very fond of their cars, and of course it's a developed economy where people, normally have insurance, compared to South Africa, where it's a small part of the total population that can either afford it or is happy to have it. So tremendous visibility in that market.
But you don't own Berkshire Hathaway in the US portfolio because of the might of Geico?
Not really so much. I think if it was just Geico by itself, it might be of interest. Of course, the bigger issue with Berkshire Hathaway is whether or not the company will retain its value once Mr. Buffett and Mr. Munger, the 2 chaps that run it, who are both in very advanced age.
Is that what's holding you back?
Well, I think so, because in the past we've looked at it and we've looked at the diverse holdings. I think when those 2 guys go, which they inevitably will, then the company's going to get broken up, split up and torn apart.
That's one way of looking at it. Do you share the view?
No, I don't. I do think that already there are 2 senior portfolio managers that Warren Buffett has appointed, and he's indicated that when he leaves, there'll probably be a chief investment officer for the operating businesses and a chief investment officer for the float and the management of those investments. And he has Ajit Jain in the insurance operation to make sure that the short-term insurance and the reinsurers, which dovetails very nicely into the short-term insurance, continues to grow as it does. And therefore, you've got this natural synergy between the different parts of the business in terms of generating cash, the short-term premium income, and then utilizing that cash for investments on the investment side. So breaking it up doesn't make a lot of sense to me. They probably will start paying dividends, which is a net positive.
Let's have a look at the share price graph.
Yes, it's done very well. You'll see that there's a bump since the Trump election. And that also means that I agree with Paul. I've also held it for a number of years, but it's seen quite a jump in the share price in the last 2 months.
Which probably has to do with the general uptick in financial stocks because of the perception that under Trump administration there's going to be less onerous restrictions on diverse management, and he's got quite big stakes in the financial markets as well. Huge 10% stake in Wells Fargo, which has gone up a lot.
All I can say right now, it's a completely new world that we're dealing with. So hot or not on Berkshire Hathaway?
It's been hot for years for me, great company, but given its size, that could be a drag on performance going forward, and given the jump in the share price since November, at this point, I would say not hot.
Paul, hot or not?
Well, I don't mind too much about the jump in the share price, but for me, there are other more direct and obvious investments, like the ones he's taken the portfolio to. So I'm going to be a party pooper and say not hot on Berkshire Hathaway.